Yep, that's right. I made the worst keyboard ever. It's mind-boggling. It's even worse than the Black Widow 2014. No offense. So you might be asking me, well, why did you even go through with this process? Well, it was pretty simple. I broke my old one over some, Discord fights. But yeah, I f***ed up real hard here, and let me tell you how. When I first started this, I was trying to look for something that was nice and easy, was a 75%, I liked the form factor, I wanted a certain thing, and so I decided to get onto Amazon and start searching around. And after a few recommendations from people, I found the LK Phantom 87. It's not the name that's all out of order, isn't that awesome? So everything came in the mail to me, and all of a sudden, I was left with this piece of shit. Yeah, this thing does not work properly. There is a few things that aren't the worst about it, but there's a lot that's bad about it. First of all, the biggest issue for me was that it has really good specs seemingly, but the actual builds of it are quite bad. It's a TKL 75%, either way, which you want to look at, which is the escape F row and all the other side keys, those ones that are right above the arrow keys, and the arrow keys themselves. It also has full hot swap and RGB. It doesn't have any VRQMK support, but I'm not surprised for a product this cheap. It does have its own software, but it's buggy and bad, and it doesn't have any other plate options because it is an integrated plate within the case itself, and it comes with either Otemu reds, blues, or browns. I picked up Otemu browns, and man, those switches really do feel like I'm touching cardboard. Not grass, sadly. So we bought all of it, and yeah, it's just the worst. So I decided to go on all out, and I looked up some tutorials and stuff. And if you're interested in doing an actual keyboard and stuff, I'll leave a couple tutorials down in the description below. And while you're down there, why not give us a like? And also, go down to the comment section. I want to know what your guys' favorite keyboard or your current keyboard is. Either way, because I want to know even if it's like a gaming mechanical keyboard, some cheap membrane keyboard, or if you have a fully customized key code 2 of 65 with Gateron blacks and all the aboves, go out. I want to know what you guys are using, because I'm really interested. But I did look at all the research, and I thought I was ready to go. But I took on way too much for this first project. So let's go through each step of the process. So first and foremost, we took out the Pro Purples, and we opened them up. I didn't have a key switch opener at the time, so I was using a tiny screwdriver and shoving it in. In fact, doing that actually broke the screwdriver itself, and it's now bent off to the side slightly. But we got them all open, and we do just a general lube. I was using Krytox 205 Grade 0. I don't know, if you're doing those kind of switches, I'm not sure if I would personally recommend those. But then we pulled it out, and I tried to do a bag lube job, but I didn't have any of the oils you would use, like GPL 101 or 105, or any of those. So I just put some Krytox inside of a plastic bag and shook the thing around and hoped that it would come out good. I don't think it came out that great, but that's just me. So yeah, I went through and did the entire lube job on them, and I thought they didn't turn out too bad. Take a listen. Yeah, they're not great tactiles. I thought I was getting a great deal. For 50 cents, or I believe actually more like 30 to 20 cents per switch, I'll put it up right here. I thought it was a great deal. I thought I was getting something that was just really cheap and great, and it was an actual tactile. But they're really weird switches. I will be doing a review on them some point soon, so if you would like to see that, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And turn on the notification bell. But I thought that these were going to be really good switches, but they turned out to be super weird. And they just didn't fit really great into the PCB. And that led us to the biggest issue with this, but we're not going to get to that just yet. And next up was the stabilizers. So I took them all out, and I decided I was not going to use the ones that came with it. They were really rattly, not great, which is something that most keyboard people just aren't interested in. What rattle is generally movement. Say, for example, on this switch, there's quite a bit of movement, or a lot of wiggle, and a lot of scratchy sounding and scratchy feeling. We're trying to get them to be very smooth and very clean sounding, so that it's just a really quick thok down and up, is what we would say. That's just the general idea. The stabilizers themselves are made up of 3 parts. They have a little inner housing, they have a inner square bit close to what a keycap would connect to, and it has a wire that joins the 2 of them together, and that's for any stabilizers there. But I decided to take them apart, and I was going to do a lube job up on them. So I took a pair of scissors, and I was going to cut the stems. So on the edge of a switch, there's a little piece of plastic on either end that you need to snip to make them not rattle as much. Those are just extra pieces due to the molding factories and stuff. Some of them come without it, like some, I believe Duroc doesn't come with any of those like that, but it is good practice just to make sure and cut those off. And I put some grease onto the inside of it, and I made sure it all just worked out great. It looked good. I was excited, and I tried to do a Band-Aid mod. Now, a Band-Aid mod is what we use to lay down a nice, simple layer. You can add a little bit of lube, and it makes it so it doesn't move around as much. And that works great for when you're using a type of stabilizer that screws directly into the actual board where your switches are being held and stuff. However, the kind of board I was using was one that it mounts to the plate / top housing in the case, so putting the Band-Aids on the bottom was pretty much useless, and I did it anyways, and it just didn't work. Now let's talk about those keycaps real quick. These keycaps suck. These were some of the cheapest keycaps I could get on Amazon. They were around $25 to $26, and to be fair, they aren't the worst. However, for the price now, especially because of what I've seen on the market and stuff, it's this not good value to pick them up, and especially because they're side printed, which means that there's nothing on top and you have to look on the side to type with them, which makes them a little bit unfun to type on if you don't use like OEMs or blanks or something like that. It's just a personal thing. It's nice to look down, know what you're typing on, just in case you ever get lost or something like that. And now the biggest issue with this entire keyboard. The biggest issue with this keyboard was the fact that I tried to put these kind of switches in. And the KO switches use a specifically longer and thicker type. There's usually 2 types of stems out there for the bottom of a switch. I've seen more, but generally in this community there's 2. I call them Otemu and the other ones. I'd say cherry is what the other style would be called. Now the cherry style is what most switches are. That's what Kale, Gateron, Cherry, all of them use. It's a simple 3 middle. The 2 on the outside are quite thick, not super thick, but thicker than the Otemus. And the other ones, Otemus, are fairly thin and only 3-pin, while the other ones are 5-pin, as in they have 2 little extras. But that doesn't always mean that case, because I've seen 3-pins with the same style as the cherry ones. So I tried to put the KO switches into the Otemu hot swap sockets, not knowing any better. And yes, it lines up enough to type, but it wouldn't sit into the plate, and it wouldn't let the plate flushly go against it, which meant that the keyboard was a complete and utter failure. Like the Great Depression or the Great Recession kind of failure, like humongous failure. So what did I do? I took everything off and I threw them out. I put them in the garbage can and watched them go down the road in the garbage. No, that's a bit of an exaggeration. I took everything off and I put back on the original-ish set. I had a whole bag just filled with keycaps and I just threw them on there and hoped that it would work correctly. So yeah, that's where it's at today. And I'll go ahead and give you guys a typing experience of what it sounds like currently, and I'll give you a slight comparison against like a GA10 or a GA18 with Cherry Reds. None loading or modding in the stabilizer section either. Decide to start raining as soon as I start recording too. Like, whatever. So here's what I learned from this interaction completely and utterly. First and foremost, research. Learn. Keep looking. I think great resources for this would be YouTube channels like KCISTECH. He's done a couple of beginner's guides to teach you. Also, I think Teja Types has done some good stuff. Also, if you want to just look at a website, I think stuff like r/mechanical keyboards or r/OLKB. Although the OLKB is a different type of keyboard, it's good to give you inspiration on what certain things are like and what will be. And also, I think Switch and Click's website is a good place to go look at it. Also, picking a better starting base. This is not a very good base because of a lot of issues, like the built-in base plate, the stabilizers, and the weird Otemu style switches makes it very difficult to install certain types of switches into this if you had interest in any other type besides Otemu and maybe Akko if you're interested in those. But if you aren't interested in either of those types, you can't use any other switch unless you want to Franken switch something together. Stick around maybe if you want to see that. And yeah, I just constantly research. If you're really wondering what the hell's gonna happen to this thing, I have no idea. Where the did it go? How am I supposed to troll on Discord now? How am I supposed to do anything? No!